Now let's render the PyroFX and create the final output of the shot. So we're going to go back to a GL view in here while we set up the PyroFX. And we're going to sort of set that up off to the side. We're going to reference it in using the file pattern here. We're going to call this Fireball. We're going to go get the Pyro Fireball USD file, accept, and then for the primitive path we're going to go / we'll keep that in the effects folder and then $OS, just like before. So that gives us the path in the scene graph where this will live, and we're going to plug that into the final merge in there, and yes, press Alt to get a node dot or a path, a dot that we can use just to organize that a little bit better. So there we go. It's coming in. We can see it. It's showing up when it's supposed to show up. That's great. What we need to do next is get it to render the way it should render based on the proper PyroFX settings. And one of the ways of doing that is to actually go back to the original network, and there's a quick setting for that we can take advantage of. So if we go back to the Fireball in here and we go to the Pyro Solver, under quick settings there's an option for create a render stage and accept. Now what it will do is it will create that render stage right here at this level. But what it does, it gives us a few nodes that we can take advantage of in terms of setting things up. So we've got the geometry settings that were useful, and copy and paste. And then once we get that, we can assign that or lock that right onto there to get what we need there. The next thing we need is that we need the material browser. And so, sorry, the Pyro material. So we're going to go to material library, and instead of adding one to the material library that we have by putting it in the same folder, we can actually go off to a different path. So we can go to the Fireball, and then there's the Pyro LopNet material library Pyro shader, and we can bring it from that other material library into this material library so that we have that ready to go. Now, one thing about that is we might want to redo that with a relative path. That way, again, the file's a little more shareable if we were sharing it to somebody on a different computer. And then we add on our assigned material, we can take the Fireball and drag that as the primitive, and then we can make the material path the Pyro shader. And that's looking pretty good. So all the benefits of that other network that we built using the auto settings, we can just pull that information in and use it here as well. And this will take a little while to resolve now that we've got all of the detail and the volume there, as well as so on. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of pruning in here, because when the Fireball sort of appears sort of one frame early. So what we really want to do is we want to do $F is less than, and then we're going to go 201. So at frame 200, we don't see that coming out. Now there's something going on with the ball there, the static bomb, and we can sort of seal with that by just putting a render geometry settings, and that solved the problem, even though we didn't turn anything on. But okay, well, we're back in business. That's good. If we even delete that, it probably would still work. But yep, we're back. We sort of kick-started it back into working, so that's good. So now we go to our render settings, and we've got our USD render node, which is where we export that stuff. And so we can say we're going to render a specific range and sort of go from there. And delete channels, and we're going to go 1 to 210. So what we're going to do here is we're going to render everything sort of up to and beginning with the explosion using the camera that we already have. Then we're going to go and we're going to alt drag this over to create a second shot for everything after frame 210. And we're going to use a different camera for that, actually. So we're going to go out and say, well, after it explodes, we want to see it from a distance as opposed to up close, so we can see the fireball a little bit better. So we're going to go in and actually add another camera that matches this. So if we click on the camera node, you'll see there it is. That's doing the job. And this camera is, we'll call Cam 2. Now, it sort of got knocked off the list. We'll have to, and then we'll put it in the same cam. So let's look at Cam 2. There we go. And then what we want to do is unlock that, because we don't want to, or we lock that so that we can tumble around and get the exact view we want. And there we go. So that's doing the job. So when we get past frame 210, this is what we want to see. So we're going to just frame it accordingly. So there we go. There's the bomb. And then we go up, watch the fireball. And we'll be able to render these two sequences separately. But because of their frame numbers, if we give them the same name, then they'll just come together and look good in the end anyway. So what we'll do here is this will be Cam 2. So let's make it off the list to make sure we get that right. And to render these, we're going to go to here, and we're going to right click and delete channel there. And we're going to change this to 211 and 240. So we'll have two sequences that we render out of this shot. Now, let's click the first one. Now we want the names of these to more or less be the same. So we don't do names on this node. We do names on these two nodes. So if we go into here and we do /render /bomb /destruction _FX $F2, so we get a bit of padding in the number, .exr. So that's, both of them are going to render out, and since they don't overlap any frames, we're not going to be rendering on top of anything. It'll just work. So save, and then once we've got that all set up, we can we'll be in this position to start rendering. So we click on the US render ROP, and we just at this point say render to disk, and that's going to go off and do its thing and render to Karma using the settings, the shared settings that we have for these two shots. So fade away, come back, select the second shot, go render to disk. That'll go off and think, and when that all comes back, we can go render, Mplay, load, and we go render, bomb, and there's the whole sequence. And when we press play, we now see the sparks, the soot, the fuse, everything goes up to the bomb, and there we go. And we see the second camera. So we were able to get two different shots that seamlessly work together using the setup we have in Solaris. And then if we go and tinker with the lighting a little bit more to get a little more detail, we can get our final shot like that.